We're at the halfway point of the Premier League season, so the new signings have had plenty of time to adjust to the league and start performing for their new clubs. Hello and welcome back to INMR, where in today's podcast I'm going to be ranking 30 of the top signings of the summer. We've got 5 different categories, starting off with waste of money, then not for me, alright, good move and great signing. We did this one last year and people seemed to enjoy it, so we're doing it again this year, this time with 30. Last year we did 20, so we've added another 10 signings, but unfortunately the quality of signings haven't been as good as last year, as you'll see. But if we get straight into it, starting off with Federico Chiesa. Now unfortunately, although he was only £12 million, Chiesa's done nothing this season. He's played 18 minutes in the Premier League and he was sort of coming in as potentially, could he be a cheap alternative for Mo Salah? Could he get back up to his top form? No he can't, and he hasn't done it yet. It's been tough because he's been injured, he's not been able to get into the squad, but for me, that's been a bit of a waste of money. Yes, it wasn't a lot of money, but still, it was unnecessary. Next up, we've got Ricardo Calafiori. He's been decent, he's only had 6 starts, so it is a bit unfair to judge him. When he strung together a decent run of games, he did look good, so for that reason, I'm going to put him in alright. Mikel Merino though, I have been a little bit disappointed with. He hasn't quite lived up to my expectations. I did a podcast in the summer talking about how he can sort of be the player to unlock Arsenal and take them that little bit further to win the title, but so far he hasn't been that at all, so I'm going to put him in the not for me section. He's not a total waste of money, but I do want to see more from him. Pedro Neto's been pretty good. He's had 3 goals and assists in his 7 starts. What he's doing in the Conference League for me doesn't count. He is a far better player than to rank him based on what he's doing in the Conference League for Chelsea. One thing I have noticed from him though is that even when he isn't getting a goal or an assist, he is still making an impact. So for that reason, I'm going to put him in good move. He's probably on the bottom end of the spectrum in that category, but he's definitely a bit more than alright. Jorginho Ruta had a good purple patch after scoring his first goal, but he's yet to justify the £40 million Brighton paid for him. He's got 4 goals and assists this season and has been versatile. He's still got to do a little bit more for me before he can be labelled as a good move. Ferdi Kadioglu, Brighton's other top signing. It's unfair to judge him as well at the minute due to his injury, but from what I've seen, it's not enough just yet. So I'm going to have to say not for me because he hasn't proven enough just yet to be on par with Ruta. I'm sure he will come good, but he was somebody I was really excited about. It's not lived up to my expectations. Elliot Anderson had a big price tag, but he has impressed. He's doing really well, got 5 assists this season and is a big player for Nottingham Forest. So for me, that is a good move as well. Dominic Solanke, it's never going to be easy replacing Harry Kane, but he's not doing too bad. He's got 7 goals and assists in 13 games, and he is great out of possession too, which I think people don't take into account, but I do need more from him, so at the minute it's just alright. He can definitely progress to those next 2 tiers, but so far it's still missing a little something for me. Carvalho, this one's a real shame because I thought the Brentford move would be very good for him. However, he's hardly played. They've paid 20 million for his services and he's only had 3 starts. He's come to develop and that's not happening so far. He is better than what he's playing right now, but at the minute it's not been great for me. Not a total waste of money because the potential is there, but he is just out of form and not getting enough chances at the minute. Manuel Ugarte, he's somebody that I really quite like and I think he is only going to improve under Amorim. He's another one that I did a big podcast on, sort of talking about how he's going to work at Man United. I wasn't too sure at the start because he certainly doesn't suit Ten Hag's style, but now that Amorim's come in and he has succeeded under Amorim before, I can see this season only getting better and better for him. So far it's going to be alright, but I can certainly see him progressing and having a really good season. Matthijs de Ligt, it's been so-so from him. It's going to take him time to get back to that top standard that we saw at Ajax and the start of his Juventus career. Hopefully Amorim can help him do that, but so far I think it would be harsh to say not for me, so I'm going to go alright, but he is probably the lowest out of those 5 for the alright section so far. Joachim Anderson, I think he's a really solid defender. You know what you're going to get from him, and it's been a really good move. He's helped Fulham massively. In terms of how well they're doing at the minute, he's been a big part of that. And I think in terms of them staying in those high positions, he's going to be vital to that happening. Emil Smith Rowe, I was a massive fan of this move when it happened, and I still am. I'm so happy to see him flourish, as many people are. He's got 5 goals and assists this season. I'm going to be generous here. I'm going to put it in great signing because so many people knew what he could do and he just wasn't being given the chances. And now that he's at Fulham, he's taken his opportunity and he's becoming a really key part of Marco Silva's squad. Amadou Onana was a good move for me. His levels have dropped a little bit since his injury, but there's no doubt what he can do, and he is a solid player. They had a very good start to the season. He's done well in the Champions League as well. He's just going to take a little bit of time to get back to the levels he was at before he got that little injury. Ian Maatsen, this is so unfortunate for him. He made quite a big move, 40 million from Chelsea, and then all of a sudden Luca Digne turned into an outstanding left back, and he hasn't got a lot of minutes since then. Maatsen's only played 70 minutes in December and has 2 starts all season. For me, at the minute, this is a waste of money because he just needs to be given more minutes. It's not a waste of money in the sense that he's not been good, because I do think he's been alright when he's played, but considering the money that Aston Villa paid for him, they haven't used him nearly enough. I get why they're doing it because Digne's been outstanding, but you can't justify the money they've spent on him just yet. Evan Nilsson replaced Dominic Solanke at Bournemouth, and I think he's been great so far. He's won the most penalties this season with 5, and he's got Bournemouth flying. 4 goals this season, and considering it's his first Premier League season, he is doing quite well. I think for players coming from leagues abroad into the Prem, I think as long as you hit double digits in your first season, that's a success. And we're halfway through the season. He's almost halfway through that goal tally. He might even have more by the time this podcast is out. So he is on track to hit double digits this season. So for that reason, I'm going to say it's a good move. We'll need more from him in his second season. But from the Portuguese League to the Premier League, it's a big jump. And he's done pretty well so far. Ollie Skip, he needs to go straight into the waste of money. I think everyone knew that was going to happen as soon as this deal was announced. He's not had a single good game since joining Leicester. I don't know why they would sign him. It's a horrible signing. It's a waste of money. Eddie Nketiah joined Crystal Palace, but he's yet to score in the Premier League. If you spend £30 million on a striker, you need goals. He's got the potential, but he's not been good enough just yet. So I'm going to say not for me. It's not a total waste of money, because I do have faith that he will step up, but so far there hasn't been nearly enough from him in front of goal. LaCroix, I think, is a solid centre-back. He has got a mistake in him, but overall he's been a strong addition to Palace's squad. He is yet to keep a clean sheet, which is why he's going to go in all right. I did think it was a pretty good move at the time, but obviously Palace's defence haven't held too strong this season, and if you're in a relegation battle, that suggests that the defence probably isn't as good as it needs to be. But he is a defender that I rated quite highly from his time at Wolfsburg, so it'd be unfair to bump him down now just because he plays for Palace. Iliman Ndiaye, I think there's more to come from him, but he's not been bad. It's always tough joining Everton because you've got a lack of service, apart from Dwight McNeil, who's often getting the goals himself. There's nothing Everton have really got going forward. So as a new signing, it's always going to be difficult coming into that attack. He scored 2 goals in 15 games, so definitely need more, but he's not been a total waste of money. It's just not for me at the minute, but that's got more to do with Everton as a team than Ndiaye as a player. Andre, this is one I've been really disappointed in actually. He was quite highly praised, but I've seen nothing of that so far. I think, to be honest, that's potentially Wolves as a team's fault. He's come into a team that was supposed to do quite well, and actually they've totally collapsed under Gary O'Neill. Potentially the new manager will help in Vitor Pereira, but so far that's been a real waste. And he was, like I say, such a highly talked about and sought after midfielder. Even Liverpool wanted him not too long ago, and now he's struggling in a team that is 19th in the Premier League. Jacob Greaves, I think, is a decent defender, obviously coming from Hull for about 20 million in the summer. He's just got back from injury, and of course it's always difficult in a newly promoted side, but I do still rate him, and 20 million is not a lot of money. Obviously it might be for a club like Ipswich, like it would be for a club like most of the Premier League, but I think he will justify that, and he's a player that if Ipswich go down, he's still got the quality to be bought by another club that's stayed up. I do think he is a solid centre-half. Another Ipswich player who's really impressed me is Liam Delap. 6 goals and 1 assist this season. If Ipswich survive, it's going to be because of him. I really like him. He's another one that's too good to go down. And if Ipswich weren't in the relegation zone, he'd definitely be a great signing for me right now. But at the minute, they're still just in there, so you can't quite put him just that high alongside Smith Rowe just yet. Aaron Ramsdale, this is a tricky one. He's currently averaging 2.1 goals conceded per 90, but of course he's in a Southampton squad where there is a very weak back four in front of him. He is making 4 saves per 90 as well, so it's not like those goals being conceded are a result of him being poor between the sticks. It's actually that Southampton are letting so many shots through that there's only so much he can do before the opposition manage to squeeze one past him. He's still a good goalkeeper, so I'm going to put him in the alright section. Cameron Archer, this is someone I really don't rate. I didn't rate him at Sheffield United, I don't rate him at Southampton, and I think that one's a waste of money because he didn't prove himself at Sheffield United. He had a couple of good moments, but he's not someone that's going to keep you up. So why Southampton would bring him in as some firepower up top, I don't know. They needed a Prem-proven striker if they wanted to show any real intent to stay in the Premier League. Instead, they brought in Archer. He scored 2 goals in 16 games this season, and it's just not good enough. Tosin Adarabioyo, this one's quite easy because he was free. I haven't been majorly impressed because he hasn't played a lot. I'm going to say he's been alright. I can't put him in good because he's only started 4 Premier League games. But I think if maybe he becomes a bit more established and starts starting week in, week out at the back, not just in the Conference League and Cup competitions and then sporadic appearances in the Prem, then he could go up. But for now, he can definitely be right in the middle. I mean, at the end of the day, he was free, so it's excellent value for money because he is a good centre-back. But there's nothing really that I've seen from him that puts him on par with the players above him. João Felix, this is another easy one. Waste of money. What on earth were they thinking? It's a pointless transfer. They've spent 50 million on a striker they use in the Conference League. He's had 2 Premier League starts this season. It's just a stupid Chelsea transfer, and it's one of many, unfortunately. Swiftly moving on to Archie Gray. He hasn't been given a proper chance yet, but I'm still a strong believer that he has got bags of potential. He's only had 2 Premier League starts and he did cost 40 million, but he is a future prospect. So at the minute, I'm going to say not for me because that's a lot of money to spend on someone that you're not really using, but he is definitely going to go higher as time goes on. He's an excellent, excellent talent. I've got a podcast coming out about him in 2025. People need to give him a chance. Yes, he's not featuring, but Tottenham are buying a lot of players at the minute that are for 5 or 6 years' time, and he is one of those. He's going to be a top talent. Joshua Zirkzee, I'm still unsure on him. He's had 3 goals in 5 starts, but he's still got more to prove for me. Rasmus Højlund is currently ahead of him in the pecking order as far as Amarim's concerned. I wasn't too sure when he joined, and I'm still feeling that way now. So for that reason, I'm going to say not for me. And finally, we've got Crescencio Somerville, who Brighton were actually linked with, and I was gutted that West Ham beat Brighton to his signature, but now it's seeming like it was for the best. He's been another disappointing transfer. He was so good for Leeds, but at West Ham, it's been a real struggle. It would be too far to say waste of money because it's very similar to a few of the other ones, like Aaron Ramsdale, where it's not actually his fault that things aren't going well. It's the people around him, and West Ham as a club at the minute are struggling, so it'd be unfair to pin that on Somerville. So that is my completed tier list. If there was one that's really standing out to me that maybe could go up, it would probably be Liam Delap. I did initially have him pretty high up as I was tracking players throughout the season, but unfortunately that recent drop off he's had took him down into the good move section. But I have no doubts he will be a top striker, and come the end of the season will definitely be back up there. He's going through a bit of a dodgy run at the minute, and Ipswich are slightly struggling, but once he gets back on form and the side gets back on form, he could genuinely help them pull off a miracle and stay in the Premier League. If you disagree with anyone that I've put maybe too high, too low, then be sure to let me know in the comments. People are certainly going to disagree. You know, there's 30 players there, not everyone is going to agree with all 30, so do let me know. That is where I'm going to end today's podcast, but there are plenty of others you can go and listen to. For more content, check out my website, that's inmrfootball.co.uk. On there you can find match reports, live blogs, club updates and so much more. And if that's not enough, INMR is also on X and Instagram, so you can follow me on both of those platforms for more daily football content. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you in the next one.